I discovered my fiancée was seeing 2 other men. When I confronted her, she said, "I deserve more." So I emptied our joint account, sold her SUV, and vanished from her life forever. My name is Liam, and I'm 31 years old. Up until a few months ago, I truly believed my life was moving in the right direction, stable, predictable, and rooted in a future I had carefully crafted alongside a woman I once believed was my forever. I had a steady job that paid well, a comfortable apartment in the heart of Dallas, Texas, and most importantly, I was engaged to Isabella, a woman who had once felt like the missing piece to my soul. We had been together for almost 4 years, having met at a casual backyard barbecue hosted by a mutual friend. From the very first moment I saw her, there was an unmistakable spark, the kind that comes once in a lifetime, or so I thought. She was intelligent, radiant, and had a natural charm that could light up the darkest room. Her laughter was infectious, her stories captivating, and her smile had the power to disarm even the coldest heart. We blended seamlessly into each other's lives, crafting a routine that felt intimate and enduring. We had Sunday morning rituals, coffee runs in our pajamas, strolls through farmers markets, long drives at midnight just to talk about our future. Conversations about marriage, kids, and building a dream home weren't just fantasies. They were blueprints for the life we were creating together, or so I thought. But slowly, without warning, the texture of our relationship began to shift. It wasn't sudden, but a gradual, inevitable slide into something colder, something I couldn't quite name. Isabella became distant, emotionally detached, physically uninterested, and always glued to her phone. I noticed the way her eyes lit up at messages I never got to see, the way she would turn her screen away when I got close, or how her once endearing "I love yous" turned into lukewarm echoes that didn't quite reach me. First, I chalked it up to stress. Maybe work was getting to her. Everyone goes through rough patches, right? But then, the excuses started piling up. Plans were canceled with barely a moment's notice. She'd say she was working late, but when I drove to her office with her favorite latte as a surprise, she was nowhere to be found. Her stories grew inconsistencies. Her words stopped matching her actions. I tried to ignore it, tried to push away the ugly thoughts crawling into the corners of my mind. I wanted to trust her because that's what you do when you love someone, right? You trust. You give the benefit of the doubt. Then came the Friday night that shattered everything. She told me she was going out with her best friend, Emily, for a girls' night. I knew Emily well. We were all close. On a whim, I texted Emily to wish them a fun evening. Her response nearly made my heart stop. "Wait, Isabella's not with me tonight." My breath caught in my throat. I didn't want to jump to conclusions. Maybe she was with another friend. Maybe there was a mix-up. I tried to convince myself it was nothing. But something inside me had already broken loose. Driven by instinct, I got in my car and began driving around aimlessly, my mind a tornado of doubt and fear. 10 minutes from our apartment, I spotted her car parked outside a trendy wine bar, the kind of place we'd never been together. I pulled over, turned off my engine, and just sat there, watching the entrance, my fingers tightly clenched around the steering wheel. I don't know what I was hoping to see. Maybe her leaving alone, maybe a coincidence. But fate had other plans. About 20 minutes later, the front door opened. There she was, my fiancé, hand in hand with a tall, well-dressed man. He leaned in and kissed her, and this wasn't a polite peck on the cheek. It was the kind of kiss you give someone you're intimately connected with. My chest tightened. I could barely breathe. But the show wasn't over. Minutes later, another man walked up to them. He was dressed more casually, jeans, sneakers, a relaxed air. He hugged Isabella and the other man, then kissed her too. I sat there, frozen, feeling like I just stepped into a nightmare. This wasn't just cheating. This wasn't a one-off mistake. This was a secret double life, carefully maintained and hidden from me while I was planning a wedding and paying the bills. I didn't confront her that night. I drove home, numb, my mind a fog, my heart a wreck. Over the next week, I turned into a version of myself I never thought I'd be. The guy who checks phone logs, who watches from the shadows, who documents every suspicious move. I needed to be sure. And what I found confirmed everything. I wasn't paranoid. Isabella was actively dating both of these men. They weren't side flings. They were in her rotation. And shockingly, neither seemed entirely unaware of the other. Meanwhile, I was the fool signing rent checks, scheduling dress fittings, and choosing color palettes for a wedding that was never going to happen. When I finally confronted her, it wasn't with rage or screaming. I waited until she came home one evening, calmly poured myself a glass of water, sat at the kitchen table, and asked her, "Isabella, how long has this been going on?" She didn't even blink. No excuses, no lies. She simply said, "Liam, I deserve more." Those words will be etched into my memory until the day I die. No apology, no guilt, no shame. Just entitlement. Like I was a worn-out accessory she'd outgrown. I felt my heart crack open right there, but I didn't flinch. That was the moment I knew. I wasn't going to fight for her, but I was going to make damn sure she remembered what she lost. From that night on, something inside me shifted. I didn't beg. I didn't plead. I smiled, said nothing, and began laying the groundwork for my quiet exit. Over the next few days, I played my role perfectly. We had dinner together, watched movies, laughed at stupid shows. She probably thought I'd accepted her terms, that I was too weak to walk away. But behind the scenes, I was unraveling our life thread by thread. Our joint account, which was mostly my money, was the first step. I opened a new account under my name only and gradually moved my funds out, leaving exactly $43. Enough for a final coffee, maybe a meal. Then, I called our landlord. Since the lease was in my name, I explained that I'd be moving out due to personal reasons and arranged a proper exit. They were shockingly supportive. Next came the wedding. I contacted every vendor, the venue, the caterer, the florist, the photographer. I told them the wedding was off, politely requested refunds, and redirected anything recoverable back into my new account. I compiled a folder of evidence, screenshots, texts, photos, just in case she tried to spin the narrative or come after me legally. The final nail was the car. Isabella drove a sleek SUV that looked like it was hers. But the loan? That was in my name. I'd been making every payment for over a year. So I called the bank, paid off the remaining balance, drove to the dealership, and sold it. All legal. All clean. She woke up the next morning to an empty parking spot. Her confusion must have been delicious. Meanwhile, I arranged to work remotely and coordinated with my brother in Denver to stay with him until I got back on my feet. When moving day came, she returned home to an apartment stripped bare. My belongings gone. My presence erased. Even the coffee machine she always mocked me for loving vanished. She walked in and froze. "Liam, what's going on?" she asked, completely clueless. I handed her an envelope. Inside, documentation of the bank closure, lease termination, wedding cancellations, and a handwritten note that simply read, "You wanted something better. I hope you find it. We're done." No tears came from her, just silence. For the first time in years, she was the one left speechless. I walked past her without looking back. But the story didn't end there. What came after was more satisfying than any argument ever could have been. I moved to Denver, settled in at my brother's, started hitting the gym again, threw myself into work, and slowly rebuilt what she had tried to tear apart. I expected heartbreak, emptiness. But instead, I felt something else. Freedom. No more lies. No more wondering who she was with. No more anxiety every time her phone lit up. I was finally free. Meanwhile, back in Dallas, Isabella's world was unraveling. She called me repeatedly at first. "Liam, where's my car? What the hell is going on?" Her messages turned from angry to desperate. "Please talk to me. Why are you doing this? Let's just meet." I never responded. Then, through mutual friends, I heard the truth come full circle. The well-dressed man? He had no idea about the other guy. Once he found out, he ghosted her instantly. Mr. Casual? Same story. She'd lied to them too, pretending each was her only love. And when the truth came out, they both walked. She lost me. She lost them. She lost the car. The apartment lease was cancelled. She had nowhere to go. I heard she moved in with her sister for a while, embarrassed and alone. And our friends? When they asked why the wedding was called off, I told the truth without bitterness. She was seeing 2 other men. Said she wanted something better. That was all I had to say. The rest wrote itself. She wasn't shunned because I asked anyone to take sides. But people can smell betrayal. They pulled away on their own. The social butterfly became the ghost of the room. Months later, her name popped up on LinkedIn, new job, new city, a fresh start. And you know what? I didn't even feel angry. I didn't wish her harm. But I'll admit, a small smile touched my lips when I thought about how everything she thought was better had disappeared. As for me, I've never been stronger. New job, my own place, therapy, new hobbies. I'm dating again cautiously, intentionally. And I know now that the real revenge wasn't taking her car or emptying the bank account. The real revenge was her realizing that she'd lost the one man who truly loved her, and that he was never coming back. Thanks for reading until the end. If you found this story powerful, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more stories of strength, truth, and comebacks.